Head coach of the Utah State men's basketball team. Is a very busy man. Appreciate him joining us today. The basketball team, it's head coach Ryan Odom joining us here on the full court press. Coach, how are you? Good afternoon.
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, Coach.
We're good.
Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Coach, talk to us about camp so far. What do you see out of your boys, and what do you like, and what do you think you guys need to improve upon?
Yeah, the guys are working really hard right now. It's obviously it's a lot of fun to be out there with them, on a daily basis. Today, ironically, is our day off, but we'll get back after it tomorrow and kind of go through the weekend, and we're actually bringing officials in on Friday to scrimmage a little bit. I haven't even told the guys that yet, but that is the plan at this point. So. But really impressed with their attitude, with their they really share the ball. We have a group that, is a willing passing team, which, makes my job, our job a lot easier as coaches, when, you have an unselfish group, to start out with. And, we're just putting the pieces together. We're working, and beginning to put our stuff in on offense and defense, and really working to try to improve on a daily basis.
Coach, you've been able to see these guys kind of in some individual type of workout situations in the off season, but now everybody's on campus. Everybody's together. The guys that you were familiar with, that came with you to Logan, but some of the guys that have been here for a while, but also some other new guys who you recruited or others that recruited are here in the mix. How is that coming together? Just trying to get everybody to get to know each other, and what the expectation is under you as the Utah State men's basketball coach.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of the new rules in college athletics, college basketball specifically, is we actually are able to work with the guys as a group in the summers, and it didn't used to be like that. And it's a rule that as coaches we all love. And we don't use a ton of hours, in terms of putting plays in and stuff. You kind of just put general things in on offense and defense. And we worked a lot on our break this summer. That's primarily what we did, just getting the guys used to how fast we want to play on makes and misses. And then we've begun, as we've gotten into practice here with the guys, now we've begun to kind of put in more half-court things, and then certainly working a ton on our defense, trying to get that ready for the season for a tough Mountain West Conference. But really impressed with what I've seen so far. Obviously, when you start with our team, guys that are returning, Bean and Brock, they're both great in their own ways. They're both wonderful leaders. They're great kids. They're obviously experienced, within our organization. They've won championships, here, and I think they're excited about what's happening, with our team right now and the new faces that to the roster. Steven obviously played, a solid amount last year and got some valuable experience, and has really stepped up and played well. He's got moxie. He's a fun guy to be around, and an excellent leader as well. And then when you talk about the new guys that are coming in, certainly Rylan is a guy that has played at a high level of college basketball, the highest level of college basketball in the Pac-12, and will be ready to contribute right away. RJ and Brandon, coming from UMBC, they're experienced as well and played a lot of hoops in their day, and obviously understand our staff and kind of how we play. So that part's been beneficial. They can quickly, help other guys when, terminology is crossing. They can quickly, tell a guy on the side what I'm talking about, which is a cool thing, to experience. It's like having a senior on your team, that's just been through it. And then there's some new guys as well. Norbert, is a good, and has good size. I think Aggie fans are going to love Z. Z's quite a player, really athletic guy, and and we're excited about his progression so far and entrance into the team. Max and Sean, those two guys are really good players. I think what you're sensing probably right now as I'm talking is that we've got a pretty deep team. We've got a lot of guys. I haven't even talked about the two front court guys and Trevin and Shimon who, continue to impress. So I do think, part of our, dynamic that's going to be really important. It can be a strength for us, or we could allow it to be a weakness, and it's just our depth. We have a lot of guys that could get in the game for us. And I think this time right now, as we're heading into scrimmages and exhibitions and leading up to the beginning of the season, is the time to begin to figure out kind of who's in the mix and kind of how the roles are going to be distributed.
Coach, I have a two-part question for you. First part of the question, how's the health of your team?
Yeah, the health of the team is pretty good. Trevin's been out for a little bit. He's the one guy that's kind of been hit with the bug. Obviously, Wick as well. He's, Wickheiser, he got hurt literally in one of the first workouts, over the summer. And so he's working his way back. He's not in full team activities yet, but he's made tremendous progress. Travis got hurt, several weeks ago, but has really come back pretty strong and is close to getting back to working with the team. Trevin, had a foot injury, but the doctors are really confident about where he's at right now. He's pretty much pain-free when he gets in the underwater treadmill, and we're hopeful that he's going to be back shortly after that, our first scrimmage, and hopefully we'll be ready for that exhibition game. So, but you know how it is. We want to be smart about as we return him to play and make sure that he's fully ready for the whole season.
And then I want to ask about in regards of Nona Miyashketa, obviously. So there is a major, I don't want to say hole, but a major gap maybe to fill to that 5 spot. Yeah. What have you seen out of your big men? If Trevin can start, great, but have you seen anybody else? Do you have a starter named to that big man position?
Yeah, no, not yet. I mean, I don't. We're working through all of that right now, as a staff and as a team. We don't have a defined starting group, as of yet, nor do we really need to. At this point, we are working. Who plays well together. We kind of split them up every day, and they're on random teams pretty much every day. And I think what you're finding is it's not a normal situation. Like you can't just look at it and say, hey, this team's going to beat this team pretty easily. We don't have that type of roster right now. We've got a roster that's very competitive, which I love, because it forces us, as a group to bring it every day. And I really like that. To answer your question, anytime you lose a guy like Mimi or Sam Merrill, to the NBA, I mean, that's a big loss, and it's a big loss for any program. And I think one of the key things for us is how do we try to fill that void? Well, we don't have to have Mimi, exactly, and nor do I want someone to try to be Mimi. I want them all to be themselves. And I think Trevin, established himself as, a guy that was ready to kind of jump into that spot. I think Shimon over the last 3 weeks has really, progressed and done really well. He's got major size and skill around the basket. He's athletic. Trevin's really athletic, and was fitting in nicely with our guards as they were feeding him the ball near the rim. And then, the other guy that can kind of fill that position for us is Brandon, who's coming with us from UMBC. He's a different type of center, more skilled guy, where he can, hurt teams from the outside. So I think we've got two kind of dynamics there going that I'm really excited about that are going to be beneficial.
Coach, it seemed like it took a while for the non-conference schedule to finally come out. What was that like for you and your staff putting that together? And was there any method to the teams that ultimately made it on your schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I think what happened there was patience won out. Rather than just kind of taking a game that might have not made sense for us just to get the schedule finished, we were patient with it, and it's honestly it's the hardest time I've had, since I've been a head coach. And I used to do the scheduling as an assistant at Virginia Tech when I was there as well. And we all want it done, and we apologize to Aggie fans for not having it done quicker, for sure. But at the same time, I think the patience won out there. We're able to get, a quality opponent in St. Mary's to come into the Spectrum and, fulfill their obligation to finish up that series. And actually, we're in talks with them, about continuing it past this year and re-upping, where we would go back to St. Mary's the next year, and then they'd come back the following. So it's a good matchup for us. We wanted to try to get, a marquee game, coming to the Spectrum, given the circumstances, because, we're obviously on the road at BYU. We're on the road at Weber this year, and not actually the way we would want to have it. We'd rather split those up, but, it kind of is what it is. And, we're excited where we landed. The Annapolis trip will be really challenging. Playing a really good Richmond team, who a lot of folks are saying could be in the top 25 if they play well early in the season. And then going down to Myrtle Beach in that ESPN tournament, we're going to test ourselves against some quality competition. So we feel good about the non-conference schedule or where it landed, and we know that it's going to be a good challenge for us and a good prep, for the Mountain West.
Coach, how's your adjustment to Logan going so far?
Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, we love it. My family loves it. It's a great place to live, as you know. There's a lot to do, and the coolest thing for us, we've been obviously to several of the games, been in the volleyball games, soccer games, and now obviously football. Over the last month, and just seeing the atmosphere that's been created in Maverick right now by Coach Anderson and his staff is really exciting. The herd has been tremendous. Our Aggie faithful have been tremendous, and I know everyone's excited to get back into the Spectrum as well, and certainly our team is. And I actually went back and forth on an email today with the herd president, and we're meeting with them next week to kind of get our plans for the season, which is really refreshing. Again, I've coached in a lot of different places, but it's not like that everywhere. And so what's been created here and the tradition that's here, where it's not only the coaches and the team, working for championships, it's, the fans understand that they're a vital part of our success. And creating that home atmosphere where it's tough for the opponent, is a huge thing. And coming off a COVID year, I'm quite confident that it's going to be a fun season inside of the Spectrum.
Again, we're talking to Coach Ryan Odom, the head men's basketball coach for Utah State University. Coach, as you talk about this, are there things that, as a coach or a coaching staff, or even discussions with the players, when you're meeting with the herd or other facilities people at the Spectrum, that things that you would like to implement that we haven't seen before that you bring with you, or are you just like trying to get caught up to speed with what does take place here so you are aware of it? How does that work? What are those conversations like?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is my first conversation, of this kind, with a group like this. So, I mean, I think it's, kudos to the herd for, reaching out and trying to, collaborate. I immediately sent out a message to our staff, because we've got folks on our staff that have been a lot of different places. And, I think and have been at places that care about basketball. And so anything that we can bring, I don't know specifically what that would be, but ideas, to add to what already is a tremendous organization, we want to try to do that. So, I think the biggest thing is for the herd to keep doing what they're doing, show up and cheer for their team in an organized fashion. I think that's one of the differences between us and others. Is this group's very organized.
Again, head coach of the Utah State men's basketball program. It's Ryan Odom joining us here on the Full Court Press. Coach, I know you probably can't say a whole lot on this, but your super secret scrimmage against another university, can you tell us who and where that's going to take place, or no?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that or not. I better not. Just in case,
we better not, just in case. I don't want to get in trouble with.
We don't want it to be Ajay Salvis and cause you to get you in trouble.
I will ask you, Coach. Just
I mean, your
backcourt.
So publicize them. You can't put out scores and stuff like that.
Sure.
But, I guess just know that we're playing a really a quality opponent, and hopefully it's going to tell us a lot about ourselves. I mean, that's the purpose of these close scrimmages, and you don't go into it really worried about it. Do you win or do you lose? You try to make sure that everybody, is getting an opportunity, to play and kind of see how they react in a really tough environment, against a quality opponent. And then you've got a lot of film, to work with. Both teams do, after you come out of it, where, all right, well, here's where we're a little bit deficient. All right, here's where, wow, we did pretty well in this. It's better than we thought we were going to do. And you can kind of build, from there. One of the things that I've been really pleased with our guys about is, they're very receptive to coaching. And they're very quick, when you do coach them on things, to take accountability and then also try to put it into action. And make changes pretty quickly, which is really an awesome thing. So I'm really proud of the guys for that.
Hey, Coach, I got to ask you about the backcourt. What are you looking for? Because you have Ashworth, you have Ryland Jones, Shulga as well. You've already talked a little bit about him. What are you looking for when you try to put together a starting lineup, especially in the backcourt, your guard and your shooting guard?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that, as I look at our team right now, we have multiple starters at those, which is a positive thing. Our deepest, overall position, and they're all different, but is at the guard spot. Guys that can play point guard, multiple guys that can do that, multiple guys that can play shooting guard, multiple guys that can play the wing. When we talk to our team about I think we've got versatility. When we talk to our team about how we want to play offensively, we want guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot, and know when to do all three. Because I think that's really basketball if you think about it. If you know when to pass, if you know when to shoot, and when to dribble, that's three things offensively that you're going to be doing while you're out there. And you need to know that individually, but they also need to know that as a team when you put the five out there together. And so we have quite a few guys, all right, that are really good in that area and that can play in pick and roll. That's really how we play offense. We play a ton of pick and roll, and Ryland certainly is elite at that. Stephen, all right, is excellent at it. Max Shulga, is about as talented as we have. And really, really good at that with his physicality. He's also a very good defender. And then RJ, RJ Idlerock he played point guard for me his freshman year. And, he's a different type of point guard because he's got size there. Sean Bairstow can play in pick and roll. There'll be times where you'll see, guys on our team that, Brandon Horvath rebounds the ball, he'll advance it. He'll bring the ball up the court at 6'11". So it's a unique style. I mean, I think it's more of a pro style of offense, that you're going to see with this group. And they put pressure on the defense pretty quickly, which is a goal of ours. So, and the unselfishness, we've got to maintain that throughout the season, as we continue to develop our team.
Coach, just a few more weeks of practices. You've got some close scrimmages that you can do. How difficult? I mean, you've kind of already alluded to this, but just how challenging is it to try to settle on what your starting five is going to look like? Are you going to want guys that are versatile, different positions, guys who are experts or specialists at their position? I mean, how do you normally like to try to figure that out for who your starting unit's going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of, I'm like most coaches. I mean, who starts the game is very important, certainly. Who finishes the game is equally important. You get in these dogfights in conference play where, the teams know one another so well, and you get in these possession-ending games, who are you finishing with, is as important as anything. And so everybody wants to start, but the reality is, everybody can't start. We only can put 5 out there. And so we're going to have ball handlers without a doubt, and probably multiple on the court, at the beginning of the game. We're going to have guys that can shoot out there. You're going to have an athletic forward. And then we'll see at the center spot, is it going to be, more of a traditional center like a Trevin, or is it going to be a non-traditional center? I guess you could say it both ways, because nowadays the traditional centers are dribbling the ball up the court, but in the NBA that is. But or would it be somebody like a Brandon? And so I think the short answer to that is we have a lot of different guys that could start, and I think you probably will see multiple starting lineups throughout the season. I don't think you'll see necessarily just one every game. There'll be times that the matchup will call for us to start a different way. And so, that's all to come, of course. And so I can't sit here and give you a specific answer on that, at this point, but know that we are evaluating all of that right now and working through those things, as we continue to practice. We've got about 8 more practices before we, face another team, and then another 2 weeks past that before we face one more in an exhibition, and then we'll be off to the races on November 9th. So I think we're all excited. The guys are very competitive right now. Every single day they're trying to win, which is only going to help us, long term. So hope that answers your question somewhat.
No, really good, actually.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
I don't envy you trying to, or any coach with a group of talented players and depth at multiple positions trying to figure out what your starting unit's going to look like. But that's why you get paid the big bucks, and that's why you win games, and we just sit here and wonder about how it would happen for us. So, no, but Coach, we do appreciate your time. Really looking forward to how this Utah State men's basketball team is going to turn out, what's going to look like this upcoming season, and it's exciting. It's only a few short weeks away.
Yeah, we're excited too, and we appreciate your support along the way, and looking forward to getting in the gym with everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you a lot.
All right, thanks, Coach.